One of your most frequently asked questions about getting into the laundromat business is simply, should I buy one or should I build one? And it sounds simple. There's really two paths to take, but of course it's a little bit more complicated than that. So I'm going to take the next few minutes to kind of walk you through some of those options and some things that might steer you in one direction or another when it comes to either buying or building your first laundromat. But what I'll say at the top is keep your options open. Don't be dead set on one or the other. I think you're best served by letting each opportunity sort of live or die on its own merits. But let's first dig into building new. What are some of the pros? Well, new sells. New is exciting. New is your baby, your vision. And you're also going to have the latest and greatest of technology, equipment advances, payment systems, other things that you can use. By definition, it's going to be the latest equipment that's on the market. So you're going to be able to incorporate all that latest and greatest. What are some of the drawbacks to building brand new? Well, the cost. It tends to be the more expensive path toward ownership because you're buying all that equipment. Another thing that you'll have to keep into consideration is the challenge in finding the right location. Right? You can build new just about anywhere, but is it in the right location to draw the level of customers that you're going to be needing to be successful? The other thing is time, right? If you happen to find the right location right away, that's great. It might take a little bit longer, but in either case, that build-out process, if you're really experienced and really lucky, maybe you can make that a 4-month, 5-month, 6-month process. Increasingly these days, I'm seeing new store projects going as long as a year or even longer. By the time you get through the process of the build-out, equipment delivery, red tape, utility services, permits, inspections, and all the rest. So if you're going to go the path of building new, make sure that you're ready with some patience because that's going to really serve you well. So there's also a little bit more risk, right? By definition, this would be a new project in a new location. The weekend before you open your new store, every single customer has done their laundry somewhere else. So that can be the daunting part of it. But a lot of people do choose to build their new laundry. They like the fact that it's new, the latest technology. They know it's going to be a little bit more expensive and perhaps a little bit more risk, but that's a common path that people will take. So now let's talk about buying an existing laundromat, going the acquisition path. What are some of the pros? Well, some of the pros are simply that it is a known entity. You can walk in the store, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can see it, and theoretically, you've got cash flow from day one. It's an operating business. You're plugging right into something that's humming along. So that's really attractive to a lot of people that are interested in getting into the business for the first time. And generally speaking, it's less expensive total project cost. You know, typically that acquisition is less expensive than a new build, and so that's another thing that can draw people to the table. What are some of the drawbacks to buying your first laundromat? One, you got to find it, right? It's that little bit of that needle in the haystack. You got to find the right store at the right price with the right lease and make sure all those considerations are lined up. And sometimes you get lucky and find that on day one. Or I talk to members all the time that might be a year or 2 or 3 into their search. So again, patience being a virtue. The other thing that can come into play is price. And yes, it is less expensive than building a store new, but you also have to keep on top of the ongoing price structure. So right now, as we're talking in 2023, store valuations are on the high side. There's a lot of demand in the business, so just be prepared for a little bit higher asking prices compared to what we've seen in the past. Another drawback potentially for buying your first laundromat is due diligence, right? You're buying a cash business. Typically, there's not a lot of great records for you to inspect. You have to do a lot of extra work to sort of get to the point where you're comfortable with what the seller is representing to you as the amount of business and, more importantly, the net profitability of that store. So, you know, each of these paths, buy or build, has its own pros and cons, and I hope this gives you a little bit of a feel for how those break down for you. But at the end of the day, let each project sort of live or die on its own merits. Which one is going to be right for you is ultimately up to you. So thanks for joining us for Laundromat FAQs, and we'll see you next time.